Hello and welcome to 10,000 Stitches podcast, normally a knitting podcast all about the joys of small scale knitting. As you can probably tell from the title of this video and the length of it, this is not a normal episode. This is yet another chapter in Andy has just the worst luck ever. So yeah, I'm currently recording on Tuesday, July 31st. Monday, July 31st. This will go up on Tuesday, August 1st. And this is probably going to be the last, I'm not going to be putting up normal episodes for an indeterminate amount of time. And that doesn't mean no videos, and I'll talk about this a little bit. But no episodes. And that is because I am currently not able to knit because I am dealing with some nerve damage in my left arm that makes it pretty much impossible for me to do anything right now. So if that's all the details you want to hear, so what are my plans, right? So unfortunately, this nerve damage that I'm dealing with, it will heal eventually, because luckily any nerves that aren't part of your central nervous system, so all of your peripheral nervous system, which is everything but, your brain and brainstem and your spinal cord, all of those other nerves will eventually heal themselves, but it can take a long time. And so I'm not entirely sure how long this is going to take to resolve itself, so I don't know how long I will not be able to knit for. So in the time that I'm not able to knit and don't really have anything interesting to show you guys as a knitting podcast, I will still be trying to do vlogs if it's like a weekend or something and we're doing something interesting. I think I mentioned that we have some travel coming up, so that'll be good for travel vlogs and, some stuff like that. Like this next weekend, we're gonna probably rent a car and do some theme park stuff, so I'll, try and vlog that. I also am going to go ahead and take this time to get some tutorials done that I have been meaning to do. I've been meaning to do some more dyeing tutorials, like how to dye in the oven and the crock pot and stuff like that, that just have sort of not gotten time because my time is just limited on the weekends when I have big chunks where I'm able to sit down and really record tutorials like that. And typically that time is taken up by recording the normal podcasts. So if I can't record the normal podcasts, I do think I'll be able to film those tutorials as long as I sort of plan it enough in advance and maybe get Wesley to help me out with an extra set of hands. So hopefully this will be a good opportunity for me to get those things done. So if that's all you were interested in, you don't want any details on my sad injury, that's going to be it. And sorry, it just feels, like every time I manage to get my feet back underneath me from the last bout of bad luck, another one comes along. And that's sort of the case this time. Like, I was feeling really good, right? Like, we had the bummer with the car and all of that stuff. And then it was like, all right, but things are going pretty good. We're in the groove. And then this. So, but that's life, right? So anyway, so that's all you're interested in hearing. Thanks very much for watching, and I will hopefully see you again soon in some other video format. But if you want to hear my sad story, continue watching. I will warn you though, it does involve like doctors and needles and things. So I guess trigger warning for that. If that's something that really bothers you and you're really squeamish about it and you don't want to hear about it, don't keep watching. I'm not going to get like super graphic or anything, but it's part of the story. So if you are really, really squeamish, might be good to just duck out. But like I said, I'm not going to get too graphic. So, okay, what's the story? So this past Friday, I went and got a physical because, it's the thing that you do when you're an adult, right? You go and get a physical, and I have health insurance, so I figured I should go do that. So I go to this clinic that's close to our apartment, and, they do the whole physical, weigh me, measure my height, all that stuff, listen to me, my breathing and all that stuff. And the doctor was like, yeah, you're super healthy. Great. So then they're like, okay, and now we're going to go draw blood. And I was like, oh, really? Because I've never had blood drawn as part of a physical before. I have had, this kind of stuff done before, but for specific purposes, not just as part of a general purpose physical. So, but I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's fine. So so they take me over, and the nurse is this very nice old lady. And I was like, you're really good at this, right? She's like, well, I've been doing it for like 30 years. And I was like, good, that's exactly who I want doing this. So, very nice, very competent. And then, but I get a little squeamish when I have to have blood drawn. Like, I have no problem with blood in general, but like my own, for whatever reason, freaks me out a little bit. And so, I told her, I'm like, okay, I get a little wheezy, queasy about this. Like, I'm not going to look while you do it. She's like, that's fine. So, so she goes to do it, and I could feel as she was doing it that she, hit like a nerve or something. Like, that like really sharp, like electric lightning bolt pain that you get like when you hit your funny bone or something. Like, that's what I felt, which I thought was just me being kind of a nervous wreck. And then, before I knew it, she was done. She's like, all right, you're done. And I was like, that was fast. So then, she gives me the little cotton bud. She's like, all right, hold this on your elbow. And at this point, I'm like, okay, that was pretty easy, no biggie. And then all of a sudden I start to get really lightheaded, and, I start to see the little flickers in my vision. And I said something like, oh gosh, I'm really, I'm feeling a little lightheaded here. And she's like, would you like some water, or something like that? And I was like, yeah, or if if you guys have like maybe some like apple juice or something, I think maybe something with like a little bit of sugar would help, because I think it's that like my blood sugar crashes when this happens. And they're like, oh, we only have water. So they get me some water, and they, a couple other nurses come over, and they kind of put my feet up, and they're kind of trying to like, cool me down. They bring over like a wet paper towel for me to put on my forehead and stuff. And like this whole time, like I'm just feeling worse and worse and worse. And just like the blackness in my vision is just like, it wasn't like a tunnel vision, like closing in. It was just like everything was just getting darker. And so, the nurses were like, okay, well, maybe you should lay down. Like, maybe, why don't we take you into one of the rooms? You can lay down until you get feeling a little bit better. I was like, okay, that probably sounds like a good idea. So they bring over like a little wheelchair, and I managed to get into the wheelchair. But in the process of them wheeling me out of, where like the lab work gets done, and into a room, which was not very far, I was done. Like, I could hear them still like making a fuss over me, but like I couldn't see anything. Like, my vision had gone completely black. And then, they asked me if I could get up onto the bed, and I was like, nope, can't do it. So, right. So then they're really like freaking out, and they're like, trying to get me cooled down, because I apparently was very clammy and sweaty, and they, they're slapping a blood pressure cuff on me. And then eventually, it kind of worked its way out, and I was fine. I came back to the land of the living. But yeah, apparently I really freaked them out, probably because it was also like, I was like the first patient of the day. But yeah, but then once I was feeling fine, I was feeling fine, right? They're like, are you sure? Okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. So then, I did the last couple little things I had to do, left, walked home, picked up a bottle of apple juice on my way home, drank that, felt fine, right? Like, no biggie. And so then on Saturday, I started noticing that I was having some issues with like, again, sort of that like electric sort of like jolt pain down my arm, depending on what I would do. And I couldn't quite figure out like what it was that I was doing that was aggravating it. But, so they took blood from my left arm, and it was my left arm that was causing me problems. And it felt like it was going from my elbow down to my hand. And so I was like, okay, this seems a little bit worrisome. So I kind of was trying to, I was like, well, that's fine. But it was getting, I could definitely tell that like this was a thing that was happening as the night went on. So I called the clinic, and they, said that they were going to page the on-call doctor. And in the process of waiting for him to call me back, of course, then I got on Google and started looking at like, what could this be? Which is never a good idea. Don't do that, people. But then the doctor called me, and he basically confirmed exactly what Google had told me, which is that when they went to draw my blood, they nicked my, I think it's your median nerve. I keep forgetting the name of it. It's a nerve that runs basically from it runs down your whole arm, but like it goes, from your elbow down into your hand. And while this is certainly not a common occurrence, it is not an impossible occurrence, right? You hear about this happening, that the people get this nerve aggravated when they have blood drawn, and this is what is causing these problems. So now basically I was fighting this all day yesterday, and I've been fighting it all day today, because it's just so easy to aggravate it, and like that's just not helping. And and some things that I like, the doctor said like, oh, a couple weeks you'll be fine, and some sources that I saw online said, yeah, week, 2 weeks, fine, healed up pretty quick. But then I was also seeing sources that were saying a month, 2 months, 6 months, up to a year, right? That like nerves heal really slowly. So depending on how bad the damage was, it might take a long time, and it's hard to know how long it's going to be, which is just really frustrating to me. Because, it means that I can't knit. It means that I can't hold things. I can't pick things up with my left hand. I can't like hold things. I can't unscrew jars. I just like, there's just everything I can't do right now. Thankfully, it's not my dominant hand. I'm a right-handed person, so like I can still write, and I can still like type and things, So it's like I can still do a lot of stuff. I can still function as a normal human being, but at the same time, like I also can feel that my right hand, or my right hand and arm, are getting overworked because now they suddenly have to do everything, which is also really frustrating. And it's just, thankfully Wesley's being great about it, and he's, picking up a lot of the slack, but it's just frustrating. And, he and I have been sort of commiserating on the same level because, I mentioned that his, car had gotten totaled, and he just was very upset about it. Not so much like losing the car, but he was like, this is something that I really cared about. It was, his car that he bought, as an adult. It was his like first, like, this is my car sort of thing. And he's like, this is something that was really important to me and meant a lot to me. And through no fault of my own, it has been taken away from me. And I sort of feel the same way now. It's like, this is something that's very important to me, the use of my left hand, that through no fault of my own has been taken away from me for an indeterminate amount of time. And it's just feeling like you had no control over the situation, that I think is just so frustrating about this. It's not like I did anything wrong. It's just that I just now have to wait and hope that it heals up soon. So yeah, frustrating. But I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna focus a lot of my energy on, getting some of those tutorials done. I think I'm still gonna be able to do dyeing in the time being, so I'm gonna get some more yarn ordered and dye up some more yarn, which you guys actually saw. So that poster board right there that just fell over while I was talking, that's my backdrop that I use for all of my yarn pictures. It's amazing what just a white piece of poster board can do for your pictures. Oh, it's great. But yeah, and just read more books, and when I can knit again, I will, but I guess this is just how it goes. So yeah, if you sat all the way through my sad story, thank you very much for listening to my sad story. And yeah, I hope you'll stick around while things are uncertain for a while, and hopefully we'll be back to regular episodes sooner rather than later. But until then, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.